What is beauty in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to run into the same problem.
Hmm.
Um, it's sort of you sort of know it when you see it, and depending on the situation, it might not be. Maybe I'm contradicting myself. Like it's not necessarily obvious at all times in all places. Uh, you know, like it's sort of I don't know. I think I notice it when things sort of come into alignment, when things start to harmonize, whether that be ideas or a sort of, you know, set of like notes in a in an arrangement,
Hmm.
or a certain lining up of words. They can be very beautiful, but if they were in a different arrangement, they would not be as beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, again, I'm sort of having to try and like define around it because I don't have a good definition for it. I mean, what makes a pretty girl pretty? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
like I know like I know when I recognize it, but it would be
Hmm.
very hard to you know sort of chop out every exact thing. Um, I mean, there and then sometimes something you don't find beautiful or attractive or sort of in that alignment, you will later. Like I
Hmm.
think there's at least with visual arts, I think it's probably true for music. There's a certain it's like a crude word to use, but there's a certain game being played, and there was I try to look it up. I couldn't remember whose quote this was. They were talking about free verse poetry
Hmm.
and how basically that's like nonsense.
Hmm.
Like just because you don't know uh, the meter doesn't mean there isn't one.
Hmm.
Like successful free verse poetry is finding its own rhythm in a way that's hard to nail down. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it's not there, right?
Right.
Just because you can't name the rules doesn't mean you can't recognize when the rules are being engaged in a high level,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So,
Or when they're being broken.
sure, absolutely. I mean, I think most people can recognize at least when they think it's being broken, or when there's a game being played that they're just not interested in.
Mm.
Like, I one of the this wasn't really sort of spelled out to me early on in school, but realizing that you know you don't have to like all the canonical paintings. You don't have to like all the canonical artists that are in the art history books. Like it's okay to think, man, that guy sucks. Like they
Mm.
count. They're in the history books. They've made it. They're in
Yeah,
the Hall
yeah.
of Fame, but I don't like them. You
Right.
know, uh, like I think that's good. Uh, I mean, there's one of the artists I really like is Richard Diebenkorn,
Hmm.
and it was funny because I remember looking at his figurative stuff first, like his like generally speaking, his body of work as an adult is sort of the Berkeley period, then his figuration, then his Ocean Park series, and then like his cards, like his clubs and spades series. But I remember the first time I was looking, I was like, man, this figuration stuff is so cool. Like he is high on Matisse. This is so great. It's
Mm.
so good. The rest of the stuff I hate. Like I don't like it. It's irritating.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this Ocean Park stuff was actually really good.
Hmm.
You know, and basically he was playing different games at different times. There were
Hmm.
different rules that he was engaging with, and sort of he was moving from one situation to another and saying, all right, this is what I'm. These are the sort of ideas. These are the limitations.
Hmm.
It's the figures are figurative. They can't be purely abstracted. That's a limitation, right? I'm sort of making a box to work within. It's sort of like LeBron James is not really impressive. I mean, he can be impressive, but he's more impressive on a basketball court because he's doing so many incredible things within the limitations of the game. Like the limitations are there to highlight the greatness, right? Whereas outside the game, he would just be like a really big, strong guy, which is great. But there are a lot of big, strong guys that can't do what he does on the basketball court. And so it's sort of how I think of, you know, sort of the arts generally. You know, Demoncourt started to do a different thing in the Ocean Park series. He started to do a different thing, like earlier on, like the Berkeley series. Really good. I didn't know it was really good. It took me a while to start to intuit the rules. I can't tell you what the rules are. I couldn't say them in words. You know, this is my skepticism of language. Like I can feel them. I can start to recognize them over time. And one of my favorite movies is The Life Aquatic. And I hated that movie the first time I saw it. It was really irritating. Like the ending was kind of obnoxious. And then I watched it again. I was like, this is like really good. You know, and so like like how you walk into the conversation with the work, how you walk into the sort of general idea. It doesn't mean everything you dislike you should like. Some stuff I just won't like. But it doesn't mean you can't like it eventually. Or, you know, if you understood the rules, you would like it more. Or if you did understand the rules, you can still say, well, I don't like it. It's following all the sort of conceptual rules of this, but I don't like that game. You know, like, you know, you can say, look, Tiger Woods is great, but I hate golf, so I don't care. You know, like, you could just say, like, this game is not for me. Like, I really don't like Alex Katz's figurative work. It's like really obnoxious. But those landscapes are killer. Like, give me those all day. Like, why? I'm not sure. It'd be very hard to say why I don't like them. It kind of bother me. So that would, you know, I wouldn't call them beautiful because I don't find them beautiful. I find them kind of, I don't know, creepy in some weird way. But those landscapes are like so terrific. They're so wonderful. Yeah. So I don't.